the media, all they talk about is Caitlyn. Caitlyn could throw somebody a bounce pass. Oh my God, she threw it. It's all about Caitlyn.
Remember all the girls that were just all talking shit about her from the beginning? This was a tune change because that's how they roll. That WNBA is woke as shit. The NBA is woke as shit. And they had to tell her, you better change your thing or we're not going to get behind you 100%. And she did. She bowed down, and that's exactly what happened.
You're too cute by half, and you've managed to piss off your...
Caitlin Clark was recently named Time's Athlete of the Year, a remarkable honor for someone so early in her career. But what should have been a moment of pure celebration quickly became mired in controversy. During her feature interview, Clark made a candid and polarizing remark. "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person there's a privilege. And a lot of those players in the league who have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them." Her honesty lit a firestorm. Supporters praised her for addressing racial inequality, a topic often sidestepped in professional sports. Critics, however, accused her of bowing to cultural pressure, arguing that she undermined her own achievements to appease social narratives. As fans and commentators clash over her words, a larger question lingers. How will this moment shape Caitlin Clark's image and her connection with the public? Up next, we explore the reaction from one of the most outspoken voices in media, Candace Owens, who, in an unexpected twist, comes to Clark's defense while broadening the conversation to a deeper cultural debate.
2 years old. I don't know a single commentator out there, Megyn Kelly included, who did not at some point throughout their political career have the wrong perspectives. But for whatever reason, we've decided Caitlyn's not allowed that time to grow. She's not allowed time to change. She's got to be a perfect MAGA candidate and I guess stand up to the entire mob. This girl's literally being bullied, physically bullied, I will say, by the way, on the court. And we know the basis of that is quite racist. I think she just wants to survive.
It's genuinely impressive to step back and consider how much Caitlin Clark has achieved at such a young age. Her meteoric rise has been so rapid that it's easy to forget. She's still at the very beginning of what could be a long and storied career. As the weight of fame grows and she becomes entangled in larger cultural conversations, it's worth remembering to extend her a measure of grace and perspective. Next, attention shifts to David Portnoy, the outspoken founder of Barstool Sports and a major voice in sports media. Unlike many commentators dissecting the Clark controversy, Portnoy approaches it as a true fan of the game. In a candid rant shared across Instagram and X, formerly Twitter, he offered his unfiltered thoughts on both Clark's remarks and the public's divided response.
Clark's popularity has absolutely nothing to do with the color of her skin. Anybody who has actually watched women's basketball or watch Caitlyn knows she plays totally different than any woman.
Portnoy pushes back against the notion that Caitlin Clark's success stems primarily from white privilege. Instead, he argues her ascent is the product of sheer, undeniable talent. Her unprecedented skill level and on-court dominance, he insists, are what have made her one of the most celebrated figures in women's basketball, perhaps even in the sport's entire history. That he also takes aim at the growing number of commentators weighing in on the controversy, many of whom, in his view, have little genuine connection to the game itself. Portnoy highlights how voices from across the cultural spectrum are using Clark's fame as a vessel for their own agendas, often without considering her actual beliefs or intentions. The result, he argues, is a distortion of both her words and her character, as pundits on all sides reshape her story to serve their preferred narratives.
Who aren't real basketball fans, who aren't real Caitlin Clark fans, are like, oh, the woke mob got to her. She's now saying her success is because of the skin and she has privilege. First of all, she didn't say she had that. She said she earned everything she got. But what?
Portnoy further expands his perspective by emphasizing that context is essential to understanding Caitlin Clark's remarks. He argues that her comments weren't meant as a political declaration but rather as a calculated effort to navigate the complexities of her WNBA career. In Portnoy's view, Clark's primary goal is to stay focused on the game, to rise above partisan noise and avoid being dragged into the culture wars that often consume public figures. Her words, he suggests, reflect pragmatism, not politics, an attempt to protect her career, her image, and her love for basketball from becoming collateral damage in a larger ideological battle.
plays in a league that is predominantly African American, and she wants to like maybe show up at work and not have people hate her. She wants the league to be successful. The more successful, more stars, the better it is for her and everybody in the league. Like this backlash of like Caitlyn turned on the league and Caitlyn is woke and Caitlyn is this. You fuckers are crazy, and that's what I hate. This for Caitlyn has never been about politics.
The controversy surrounding Caitlyn Clark may have amplified her visibility and fueled countless headlines, but it's evident that she's far more interested in humility than hype. By nature, Clark has never positioned herself as a political voice. Her identity has always been rooted in basketball. It's the game she loves, the arena where she's earned her accolades, and the reason she was named Time's Athlete of the Year. While the debates swirling around her have undeniably added to her fame, perhaps the moment calls for something simpler: to celebrate her for what she does best. To recognize that the real story isn't the controversy, but the brilliance of her play. That sentiment was echoed by legendary sports broadcaster Dan Patrick, who urged fans and critics alike to appreciate greatness when it's right in front of them, as it is with Caitlyn Clark. Having witnessed decades of sports history, Patrick understands how fleeting true talent can be. He reminds us that Clark's skill is not just exceptional but generational, a gift to the game that deserves admiration, not argument.
Changed the WNBA. That's it. It's okay. You want to throw in Angel Reese. You want to throw the memory of Cheryl Miller or Cynthia Cooper. Like, it's a win. We got to... Oh, God. Just, this is a unique moment. Caitlyn Clark did for the WNBA what Wayne Gretzky.
Not every action of a public figure needs to be filtered through a political lens. Sometimes, it's worth stepping back to remember what made them remarkable in the first place. Appreciating Caitlyn Clark's extraordinary athletic talent doesn't take away from the accomplishments of others. It simply acknowledges excellence when we see it. As Dan Patrick reminds us, true greatness deserves to be recognized for what it genuinely is.
Take a victory lap. You don't have to go, oh my God, these people are mad, or this person's mad, or this group is mad. Caitlyn Clark changed the WNBA. It's okay. It's okay to say that. You're not diminishing what the founding, fathers of the WNBA did. You're not. She's the Time person.
Stephen A. Smith, known for his fiery takes and tendency to stir debate around athletes' personal lives and public comments, took an unexpectedly measured approach to Caitlyn Clark's interview. Rather than fanning the flames of controversy, he began by acknowledging her extraordinary talent on the court, setting a tone of genuine respect before addressing her remarks.
And then she steps out, absolutely no obligation to do so, and she points out the disparity in treatment between her as a white player and black players who preceded her and achieved so much, but lacked the level of recognition she received. Her heart has been in the right place. She deserves major kudos for her heart being.
He continued by praising Caitlyn Clark's genuine character and sharp intellect, commending the maturity she shows both on and off the court. Smith also drew attention to a WNBA legend who has been particularly critical of Clark, using the moment to highlight how political narratives are too often unfairly attached to her words, frequently without context or thoughtful reflection.
Have to do those things, but she's done those things, which is further evidence that her heart has always been in the right place, and people who were looking for an excuse to denigrate her in any way, their issue wasn't with her, it was with a bigger issue, and they may have been justified in terms of their thinking along those lines, but to aim their ire in her direction directly was foolhardy and not advisable, and it was a huge mistake.
Caitlyn Clark has often faced harsh criticism from detractors, but this moment marks a surprising shift in perspective among some of her most vocal critics. One notable example is L. Duncan, a commentator who was highly critical of Clark just months ago amid debates over physical play in the WNBA. In an unexpected turn, Duncan has now openly praised Clark, a testament to how her exceptional performances have begun to change minds, even among those who once doubted her.
Magazine does really well too is, their people of the year aren't necessarily who's the most popular, although in this case, this is true. It's also people who have, been a part of conversations, the cultural relevancy that comes along with it. It's why sometimes the Time Person of the Year is not a particularly likable person necessarily, And so no matter how you feel about the contributions of Caitlin Clark or the rest of the league, some of the narratives and the discourse that were surrounding it, that is also playing into why she was Times Athlete of the Year. These conversations in the W had been bubbling for a very long time. It's nothing new. I mean, these women changed the course of an entire election, and certainly not very many people.
Duncan now appears to recognize the power of the very narrative surrounding Caitlin Clark, perhaps because she helped create it. Just months ago, Duncan's remarks about Clark were harsh and at times mean-spirited, adding fuel to the controversy and deepening the divide within the conversation.
Space at all, who suddenly have all these opinions about how these women need to treat Caitlin Clark. What do you want from them? They want to beat her because she's not on their team. Isn't that how it's supposed to be? Y'all stop it. We already know she's transformational. They've all said it. How many times do they gotta say it?
Sheila Johnson's comments may be the most controversial of all, igniting a storm of reactions across the public spectrum. The overwhelming response has been negative, as many were left puzzled by the nature of her remarks and questioned what she truly intended to convey.
That the whole WNBA should have been named up, because that's not true. The whole WNBA benefited this year from the viewership increase because of the excitement between Angel Reese and also Caitlin Clark. But from a pure marketing perspective,
critics have widely condemned Sheila Johnson's remarks, pointing to a striking lack of self-awareness. Her proposal to feature the entire WNBA on the cover under the title League of the Year was quickly dismissed as tone-deaf and out of touch. Even more controversial was her contradictory stance, insisting she didn't want to discuss race, yet opening her comments by focusing on it. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Johnson claimed she wanted to avoid hard feelings, but instead managed to spark even more division. It's unfortunate that Caitlin Clark continues to be pulled into conversations about race, despite never positioning herself within that debate. This inconsistency was underscored by Sarah Haynes, who addressed it directly in her analysis of the interview.
I feel really bad because I've seen so many players of color that are equally as talented, and they never got the recognition that they should have. And I think right now it is time for that to happen. So last night we read Time that was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover and said the WNBA is the League of the Year because of all the talent that we have? Because when you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings. And so now you're starting to hear stories of racism within the WNBA, and I don't want to hear that. We have got to operate and become stronger as a league and respect everybody that's playing.
Caitlin Clark said in that interview, "I earned everything I got." And her stats prove it. She shattered records that had stood for half a century. Yet, she also showed humility, acknowledging that her success was built on the foundation laid by others. The players she admired, the teammates she cherished, and the game she loves. Perhaps the most powerful part of her statement was her call for continued investment in women's basketball, urging brands and companies to support not just her, but all the players who make the league thrive. Clark has already done so much to elevate the sport, not only by showcasing its challenges but also through her electrifying talent and passionate fan base. As Megyn Kelly noted, Clark's ability to remain focused amid constant media noise is a testament to her professionalism, resilience, and unwavering love for the game.
This is not, they pitted Angel Reese against her, and it was always coming down to race and all these things. Caitlin Clark said in that interview, "I earned everything I got." Her stats speak for themselves. She broke records that were 50 years old.
Yeah.
But recognizing that this was built on the shoulders of people, a game she admired, players and teammates that she loved. And the most important thing she said, actually, is that brands and companies have to invest in those players too, and she needs to keep making.
However, Megyn Kelly has emerged as one of Caitlin Clark's most outspoken critics in response to the interview. Kelly argued that Clark's remarks projected an unnecessary sense of guilt or discomfort about being white and suggested that parts of her statement could be interpreted as condescending toward black players.